It says I'm it says I'm live. Am I here? Because I was having can you hear me? Because I was having some difficulty getting on. Are people here? I'll say something in this chat and you can let me know. Say hello to me. Is anybody here? Oh my gosh, Brenda says hi. Hi, Brenda. Okay, I'm Nicole. This is the Professor Pearl podcast or channel on YouTube and knitting and other crafts YouTube station. And this is the cast on party. And I'm late to my own party. What time is it? Like really late. I'm like 10 minutes late. Oh my gosh, look at all these people that actually are here and I'm late. Let me just tell you why I'm late though. I don't know if you want to hear this, but I always use Safari. It's like what I use. And I go to log in, my very first YouTube live. I don't even really know what I'm doing. And it says it doesn't support, Safari doesn't support webcam use. And so I need to log into Chrome. But I always use Chrome for my work. And it was like only remembering the Chrome and I was having to Google, what's it called? How to forget cookies. And I don't know, it was just so ridiculous. And I couldn't remember my password. We're here. And there's so many people saying hi. I can't even right now. I remember like when I started this channel, I wanted with some knitting friends and look at all these people saying hi. Oh, Canary KCMO. Hi. I was looking at her yarn earlier. And Holly. Hi. I think she lives near me. Barbara and Sandy, Cecilia, Noreen, Anita, Janet, Alexandra, Brenda, Eileen, another Alexandra, Fierce Mommy. Oh my goodness, Laura. All these people saying hi. Okay, worth the wait. Okay, I'll get on track here. So usually I have a sip knit segment. And so we're gonna sip knit. But since it's evening, you can see it's dark out. I came prepared with some sparkling wine. What? Tell me, do you have a drink? Are you having coffee at night? Well, if you're in Australia, it's like in the middle of the day, so you're probably having coffee. Maybe not. Well, you can have wine though if you want. It can be like a brunch. Anyway, so cheers. I'm going to say cheers to my very first YouTube live, even with bad lighting. And cheers for our somebody's got a Riesling. Oh, hey. This is some Argyle, which is out here in the Willamette Valley. But this particular wine came from the Dundee Hills, the Knutson Vineyard. I really like sparkling. Oh, White Claw. I've had those. Has anybody had a White Claw? Or what are they called? Bubbly. Anyway, distracting. I'm going to say cheers to this casting on our sweaters. And if it's your first sweaters like ever that you're knitting, an extra big cheers. And if it's your like 12th sweater you're knitting, more cheers. But anyway, love note love. Oh, it's midday here. I'm winding my yarn. She says, have some coffee or midday wine. It's Saturday. It's Saturday in Australia. It's Friday here, right? I think it's Saturday in Australia. So, drinking chamomile. Look at you. That's a very calming tea. I like a good chamomile. All right. So we're going to talk about what are your Love Note goals? Let me know what your Love Note goals are. I'll read some of them. Oh, Montanore Vineyards has some great sparkling wine. I've actually been to Montanore, but I don't think I had their sparkling, to be honest. I could be wrong, but I think Montanore might be where they had some kind of knitting event in the before times out here where I think maybe Caitlin Hunter from Boylan Knits had she had designed a shawl pattern in Naughty Lamb, the yarn store, had some kind of class and maybe you could take it there. I never did it. And then when COVID happened, I regretted that I didn't do it before everything happened. My goal this weekend, since I'm on a girls' craft all weekend trip to the beach, is to get through the lace. That sounds dreamy. A girls' weekend trip to the beach knitting. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Working with mohair for the first time. Honestly, that's no joke. That is no joke. working with mohair for the first time. And I actually, when we talk about provisional cast-ons, we'll share my first time working with mohair with provisional cast-on, my experience with that. It was not a positive one. Okay. So one of my Love Note goals is I'm going to make a love note for myself. I'm just like holding all these balls of Rowan out of Alpaca Classic, which is superfine alpaca and cotton. And I basically have made 3 love notes. I think if you watch this channel, you might know this. And this is my no lace version. And all 3 of mine have been out of hand-dyed, beautiful indie yarn. So I decided I wanted to use some commercial yarn for my 4th one. And I really liked the idea of using this Rowan because it's, even though it's bad lighting, you can see it's fuzzy. And so I really wanted to do something like that. And I wanted to buy it from my friend Kelly's yarn store, Le Mouton Rouge Knittery. But I had my heart on this like hot pink one, but she only had 3 hanks of it. And so I ended up saying, I'm going to do light blue because I don't have a light blue sweater in my wardrobe. And I feel like it will be a good color to have. And also, it made me think of like Frozen, as cheesy as it sounds, the movie Frozen, which is we really like in our house. And so anyway, so I'm going to make this. There's some goals here. My Love Note goal is to make a sweater that actually fits nicely. That is such a good goal. Cecilia says that. I've tried really hard to swatch and think carefully about my size. That's incredible. Like that is everything, because I think sometimes if people don't like, sometimes if people knit a sweater without swatching or like thinking through it and it doesn't turn out, it can be so discouraging to make something so giant and then it not fit you. So that's such a good goal. I'm casting on 2 this evening. That's what I was wondering, if I should cast on 2, like at once. I do plan on knitting 2. I haven't talked about my second one yet, but one for me, one for my 4-year-old granddaughter. So I have a 3-year-old and I'm going to be making one for my 3-year-old. And that's one I'm going to cast on for sure right now. I got this in person. It's pinky peachy with gray undertones, and it's Alpaca 2 from Isager. 50% alpaca, 50% wool. And then I bought this kind of matching mohair from Firefly Studios in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, and it looks super nice together. I've swatched for both, and it looks good. I'm very pleased with the way these 2 look together. So this will be Matilda's, my 3-year-old's Love Note. I'm kind of jealous because this is like so good. So definitely casting this on tonight, but I'm curious if I should just cast on 2 so I have them both going. Oh my goodness. My goal is to have another sweater before Halloween, like one of these Love Notes. Oh, that's my friend Angie. Yeah, she can do that. She's already knit a Love Note. This is her second Love Note. Fierce Mommy Crafts. Knitting a sweater was a goal this year, and the Love Note is perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so Meredith says that her goal is to complete her first sweater with lace work and her first solid colored-ish sweater. Both are very colorful and bright. And she's going to do a tweedy navy. Somebody's doing it for Jordan's doing it for her 2-year-old daughter. Lizette's going to her goal is to complete her first Love Note and only her second sweater by December 1st. I think you can do that. I really do. I was thinking that like if you do 2 weeks for the lace, 2 weeks for the bottom, that's a month. So you're at November. And that gives you another month to do the sleeves, which they're not even full sleeve. And so a week, you're done before December. So hello from Northern Ontario. I just love the Canadian knitters. And funny story about that. I don't know if I'm oversharing now, but basically the Canadian podcasters say progress keepers instead of progress keepers. And I catch myself all the time saying progress keepers. And then I'm like, I'm not Canadian. And then I have to like consciously think progress keepers. Okay. So yeah, so this is my other Love Note goal, is to knit one of these. I think this is my first Love Note goal. In terms of swatching, my gauge, so interesting. I did both of these on a size 7, and it just shows you how much yarn affects it. So like these stitches are so much bigger than these little ones. So even though I used a size 7 on both of these, like this turned out to be a much looser gauge, and this came out tighter. So on both of my swatches, I did not get gauge. So the correct answer would be to swatch again, which is what I'm going to do for this. I'm going to swatch again until I get gauge. But since I'm knitting a child sweater, I did want to say that I feel a little bit more rebelly about a child sweater, because really for a child sweater, all it matters is that it's bigger than they are, so that when they grow, it still fits them. At least that's my philosophy on it. So for Matilda's, I got 15 stitches to the 4 inches, and you need 16 stitches for the 4 inches. So I could do it as is, but I think this fabric's a little bit holier for my liking. So I was a little bit nervous about how big the size I was planning on knitting her was going to be. It had 10 inches of positive ease. So I'm just going to go down 1 needle size and knit the same size I was planning to, but go down 1 needle size. So I may or may not get gauge because I'm not swatching, but I know it'll still fit her because this was getting 10 inches of positive ease, and going down 1 needle size isn't going to drastically change that to only like 1 or 2 inches of positive ease for her size. So I am not doing a second swatch. I'm just going to cast hers on. So I have my yarn. Okay, so I'm going to do my provisional cast on. I've never like talked on YouTube Live and cast on. I've talked at like and cast on at like knitting groups and things, but usually you're by yourself. So let me know what, if you're still here, at what provisional cast on you use. Do you know if it has a name? Have you done one before? Things like that. So, and I'll tell my little story about my first provisional cast on. Well, you tell me what kind of provisional cast on you use. Namely, let me know, do you do the crochet chain one, or do you do something different? So for me, I do a crochet chain one, and I do it with okay, for the Love Note, just to be clear. For the Love Note, I do a crochet chain provisional cast on, and I do it with sock yarn. So you're knitting the sweater like with a DK yarn. Essentially, that's what a fingering and mohair is together, or an actual DK yarn. But I use a fingering, and I use a sock one that has nylon in it. So this is leftovers from my summer sock camp socks. So it's a 75-25, so it has 25% nylon in it because it makes it slick. So why am I so passionate about a sock yarn fingering weight? Because the first time I did a provisional cast on was in, I think, 2012 or 2013. So not that long ago, but also a while ago. And I was going to make this like colorwork headband, and it was basically like colorwork on the outside and lined on the inside. And so the colorwork, for some reason, I decided I wanted to do it in mohair. I mean, for some reason, I've always loved mohair. It's like trendy now, but I mean, I've loved mohair since I was like a kid. And so I wanted this colorwork mohair headband, and I had to do provisional cast on. And I think I picked like a woolly wool for the provisional cast on. Why would I do that other than I just think it was like whatever scrap yarn I had? And then I did not do a crochet chain, which is really easy to zip out. I did like an actual like long tail cast on, provisional cast on. And when that thing had to come out, it was so gnarly to take out. I actually went back to my Ravelry notes a couple days ago just to see if I listed like a YouTube tutorial about what provisional cast on I used. And I did actually. Back in the day when I was an early Ravelry user, I was like very like good about doing notes. And I like had like the YouTube I used, which still works incidentally, that link. And I made a note in there, this thing was like terrible to tear out. I'm like, yes. So Nicole from like how many years ago feels the same as I do now, which is it's so like with mohair, it can be so tricky to pull stuff out. So that's why I like a sock yarn. And so basically, let's see here what people say. Oh my gosh, so many people saying crochet chain. Now somebody says hook and needle. Valerie says hook and needle. And I think that's actually different than a crochet chain. Valerie, let me know. But I think there's like a way that people use a hook and a needle, and it's different from the, like they use like a crochet hook and a needle, and they do provisional cast on, but it's different than the crochet chain. Okay, but I would say right now in the comments, it's kind of an overwhelming amount of people using the crochet chain. So I'm like probably preaching to the choir here. Uh, Marie B says the crochet cast on was easy. The tubular cast on was the wall I crushed into. I think it like really depends on the directions for the tubular cast on, because the first time I did a tubular cast on was with the ranunculus sweater, and the way they like wrote it out was really great in the sense that like I could do it and I could be successful, but it wasn't great in the sense that like I didn't walk away feeling like, gosh, I could do that on my own, and it wasn't like easily memorizable for me. And so I've found like other tutorials online to be more helpful for me for that. I am so awkward making chain that hook and needle is easier for me. Okay, Valerie, thank you for saying that, because let me just tell you, last week, this is kind of a crazy story. I ended up like booking a plane ticket to Austin, Texas to go see my friend Brenda because Southwest was having a sale. And like, I couldn't say no because I really miss my friend Brenda. She used to live out here and she moved to Texas. And she didn't know how to do the provisional chain cast on, or she didn't know how to do provisional cast on. So I like go out there to have a little like knit time with her. And I sit down with her and I say, Brenda, the easiest way to do a provisional cast on is to do a crochet chain. And I should be crocheting while I'm saying this. You do a slip knot and you make a crochet chain. And I say, Brenda, this is so easy. And then Brenda, I just like show her like two little crochet chain things. And then I just hand her this crochet hook. And she's like, can't do it. And I was like, Brenda, do you know how to crochet? And then she's like, no. And I was like, okay, like really? Like you like need to know, like you don't need to know how to crochet because it's just a crochet chain, but like in a way you have to have like some crochet skills. Yeah. Brenda says this was a hilarious experience. Just saying. Yeah. I was just like, this is so easy. You just crochet. And then she was trying to crochet a chain. And I was like, I take back everything I said, because now I need to teach you how to like crochet. And like, I think I could teach people how to knit maybe, but like, I don't not crochet because I am not a crochet expert. Basically, I own two crochet hooks. This one I'm holding, and the one my mother bought me, a furl my mom bought me for Christmas one year. That is the two crochet hooks I own. And the one my mom got me is good for DK, I think, because that's what I've used it on. And I bought this one because it was small and seemed like it would work for fingering. And so one of my friends texted me and she's like, you said do the crochet chain provisional cast on, like how do you decide what size hook to use? And I was like, whatever you have. And then she was like, what size yarn? And I was like, well, I use fingering just because I think it's easy to rip out, and it's like in sock yarn. I had that. And she's like, well, does it matter like how wide the crochet chains are? I don't think it really matters how wide it is. So basically, I'll just show you really quick. When you do the crochet chain cast on, basically provisional cast on, I just crocheted this chain. And when you crochet, you might look at this V's and like think, oh, this is where I would pick up, stick my hook in. But for the provisional cast on, you use this back side, and there's these like little bumps, and you use each one of these as a stitch essentially to knit into, and that's it. And so I guess the other piece would be like, I know that I need a cast on. I'm not going to give away the pattern. So let's just say I need a cast on. This is not a real number. I'm just making this up. Let's say I need a cast on 50. That's not actually what I need a cast on. But let's just say this way I had a cast on. I would want to crochet chain at least 50 stitches, if not more. Like, because it doesn't matter how long your crochet chain is. You just need to pick up the back things. So I would probably do a crochet chain of like 60 or so. I thought I saw somebody up top. Oh yeah, Alexandra says that she does the crochet chain with a contrasting color scrap. I do think it's nice to do a contrasting color so you don't get confused with like something that doesn't blend in with your yarn, so you know what's your actual yarn versus like what's the provisional. The funny story about that is sometimes if you're like knitting out in public, which may or may not be happening a lot with like the COVID situation now, or the pandemic situation, but when you would knit in public, I remember people thinking that it would look really weird. Your provisional cast on, or they'd say something like, is that part of the knitting? And you're like, no, I'm going to tear that out later. Oh, that makes me remember that some people like to hack the Love Note pattern so there's no provisional cast on. Because a lot of sweaters are just knit top down. Like you just start with the collar, and just go. And so you certainly can do that. The first time I didn't do that because I was just wanting to like do the pattern. But for the second and third times I made the love note, I still did it. And I'll tell you why I still did it and why I didn't. I mean, I certainly could hack it. So it would be easy enough to hack it to not do provisional, meaning like currently you provisionally cast on and knit, pick up, and then do your collar. So you could easily do the math and go. So you don't have to do that. The reason why I still do the provisional cast on is this. I actually loved doing it, not the provisional cast on itself, but I loved the idea that I knit the sweater and I could try it on and then decide, do I need a higher neck or do I want more of a scoop neck? So on my first one, I wanted it cinched in more. So I actually modified the pattern a bit and knit more than the pattern told me. And then even went down a couple of needle sizes to scrunch the neck in more. On my second and third ones, I've just followed the pattern exactly. And so I like this idea that I could like try it on and like adjust the neck as I want it. I did my first with the provisional cast on, but have hacked it since then once I knew how large I wanted my neck. Yeah, so if you know like this is exactly how I like it and this is what I want, then there's no reason really like if you know exactly how you want your neck and you've already knit one and you're like, I know how this fits my body, I know how I want my neck. Yeah, you can totally just hack it and not do the provisional cast on. Yeah, Marie says yes, make the neckline you want. I think it's fun. Also, it's taking out the provisional cast on and picking up the neck is the kind of thing for me that I will be strangely like lazy about. Like I'll have like the whole sweater done. And then the pattern tells you to do neckline. No, it doesn't. The pattern tells you to do the sleeves and tells you to do the neckline last. But I do it the sweater, then the neckline, and then the sleeves. And I'm the kind of person that like just that little inconvenience of like taking the provisional cast on out and like picking up the stitches, like I will like not do it. Like I'll like procrastinate. It's like the button band. I've got a cardigan with a button band that I just need to sew buttons on, and another cardigan that I just need to knit the button band. And it's been like 2 months and I haven't done it. And so that's like the thing I will sometimes like procrastinate on. Yeah, Holly says, I've had a sweater neckline come out so huge. So I like the idea of doing the provisional neckline to make sure it fits correctly. Yeah, and so that's nice then too, because then you can know like, okay, like this, I think I even my first one and tried it on more than once. Like I even tried it on as I was knitting it to know. So, okay. Me casting on in front of you is like maybe not going to happen because I'm like crochet chaining really slow and then I'm going to have to count it. Let's see here. All right, so I'll just keep going. So the next part I want to talk about is the lace. So this is a no lace version. And one of the things I was nervous about with the no lace version was that, as you know, if you're a knitter, it like this knit lace is it really opens up beautifully, especially when you block it. And so when I gauge swatched, I didn't gauge swatch the lace, right? And so I didn't know like would it grow more? Like is the pattern like including that? So I was nervous that just like omitting the lace, like maybe this wouldn't fit me. But as you can see, it like fits really well. And on all I did is the pattern provides you a lace chart and tells you how many rows you do that on. And it tells you how many times to repeat that for your size. And I just did that many rows. No extra, no less. And I did try it on and I think it fits. And so I think lace does stretch out more than just stockinette, but it worked out well just to omit the lace. Let me know if anybody here is going to be omitting the lace. I'm just really curious about that. There's a podcast that I'm really enjoying called We Share Needles. And Maddie on We Share Needles, she messaged me on Instagram today that she's doing a fade and she's doing like the math to do the fade. Oh, there she's here. I thought Maddie said that she wasn't going to be able to make it. And she was telling me that she was gonna do the, the math to figure out, like, how much, like, she would need to do the fade, and that was, like, super inspiring to me, like, because oh, and also she said she got all the yarn from her stash, which is so cool to think about, and she's not using mohair. She said that she was going to be, like, holding her fingering double, so, like, 2 strands of one color, then switch 1 strand one color, 1 strand of another color. So now, even though I have these 2 love notes planned, I'm like, this is, like, crazy knitter speak, when you're like, "Oh, you wanna do way more than you really have, like, time for," like, I'm gonna be lucky to get 2 love notes done in, like, 2 months, but if for some reason I just whip these out and I'm, like, having some extra time, which seems unlikely before December 1st, if for some reason that happens, I'm gonna do what Maddie's doing. I'm gonna go to my stash and I'm gonna do either, like, a striped or a fade kind of version because I just think that that would be yes, I think it's, like, really, really cool. Um, Laura says, "My provisional is onto a cable from Interchangeable Needles." I just watched that tutorial from Very Pink Knits. Does anybody else watch knitting tutorials just for fun? I'll be able to simply move the needle tips to the cable when ready to finish the neckline. Yeah, so I love the lace too. So my Matilda's is gonna have a lace, and then my next one's gonna have a lace. But I also really like I discovered with the Love Note that I just feel really confident in it. Like it's just like I love a sweater with positive ease, but although it has positive ease, particularly with these sleeves the way they are, like I just think it also has a really polished look. And so I knew I had to make one with no lace. And I think I want another one with no lace. I am going to knit another sweater pattern in 2022. I do just think that 2021 was like year of the Love Note for me. I am though, let me know if anybody else here knits sweater patterns more than once. Once I find a sweater pattern that I've knit and I know it fits my body, I do love like kind of the fun idea of like switching it up and doing something like different, like the same because it's gonna fit, but like different so like other people don't know it's like the same sweater. Laura says my sweater is from Stash, and for my daughter, she doesn't want the lace and no lace. There's something like if it's in your stash, like you bought your yarn and it's your yarn, but there's just something glorious feeling about like knitting from your stash. Like you feel like look at me, I feel so good. Zach says, I love your slub version, and it makes me want to knit the cozy classic raglan. Made 2 for myself, which is my go-to basic with slub and fingering. Yeah, that's on my list, the cozy classic raglan by Jessie May, and her patterns are super size inclusive. And I'd like to say this, that's actually my advent plan. Maybe I'm gonna get a yarn advent this year. I mean, I think I'm getting the stress knits one like I did last year, and I think that's what my husband bought me for Christmas this year. And I last year knit a big shawl that I like love, wrap schlanklet thing, and it's so much yarn, like so much yarn. I literally like made making a pair of socks out of it. I mean, and I still have leftovers. I think I can get 2 pairs of socks of leftovers from this big, huge blanket type thing. And so basically I was like, well, I could make a sweater out of this. And so I'm thinking for my advent this year, I was thinking about doing the cozy classic raglan with my advent. So like get a neckline and like decide what my neckline and like, oh my gosh, my ribbing would be like consistent perhaps. And like maybe cast it on and like on like the last week of November and then like December 1st start in. I think that would be really fun, maybe. So Alexandra from Fiberbound says half my yarn is from Stash. I did buy some new mohair. That's what I did for Matilda's. This was from Stash, actually from a really cool trip in 2018 to Sweden. And so it's really special yarn to me. and so I bought this, but that doesn't feel like a new purchase to me when I'm using something from Stash, even if I have to buy something extra to make it. It makes me feel really good. Oh, fun. Meredith says, I did the pattern Cozy Wifey last year for my advent from Cornbread and Honey. I'm going to have to look that up. I haven't seen that. Would you knit a light or DK version with the advent calendar? I am thinking I'm gonna do the DK version with my advent, and so that would mean finding a mohair. But I feel like with Stressness, she has a very clear aesthetic, so you could purchase a mohair in advance, and it would like there would be a strong probability it would look good. But also, I was thinking I could just buy like a bare mohair, and it would probably be fine too, and soften any kind of variegated yarns that would come out. Oh, thanks. Alexandra says that she adores the colors from Matilda's, but we have a really similar. I feel like Alexandra and I have like a similar color aesthetic where we like love the pinks and the mauves or the mauves, however you say it. And so, okay, I really, lessons are learned. Lessons are learned during this. I was like, yeah, I'll just do this crochet cast on. You can tell this was a self-striping yarn because it went from the pink to the blue. But I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to cast on while I'm talking to you. I did some crochet stitches. I'll have to celebrate and cast on once this is over. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting distracted talking about the lace because what I wanted to ask everybody is when you're doing the lace around, do you just like do the lace around or do you put stitch markers in? And if you put the stitch markers in, do you use like pre-made stitch markers? Do you use light bulbs? Like, what kind of stitch markers do you use? Use light bulb ones? I used to use, when I first started knitting lace, I didn't like the metal stitch markers at first. So I would like make stitch markers out of yarn and use that. But for all my Love Notes, I haven't put in stitch markers. I've just knit the lace around. But I think that if this is your first time knitting lace, I would suggest putting in stitch markers every 12, 24, or 36 stitches because it's a 12 stitch pattern. Yeah, so Alicia says she uses stitch markers and she uses the light bulb ones. And Fierce Mommy says definitely multicolored silicone markers. That makes me think of those Cocoa Knits ones. They're really, really cute. I don't have any of those, but I've seen those. Oh, Valerie, just below this said Cocoa Knits. I'm hung up on row 5 of the lace. Fiberbound loves light bulb markers. Susan says I use yarn for markers. Yeah, so for years I didn't own any like stitch markers from like a person or like a place. I just used yarn and I was like, why would people ever buy these? And now I know because they're cute. Like that's why, because they're cute. It's like yarn jewelry. That will be a nice little transition into some of the prizes. I did want to share some of the prizes for Knitalong. So one of the prizes, I have several of these. They're from Hand Stitch Life, and her website is shopandstitchedlife.com. And her handle is at Hand Stitched Life. So you can see Hand Stitched Life here. And she has these really cool packs where she has the Progress Keeper and also the stitch markers with like beads that match. And so she made these ones for our Love Note Knitalong, and it's literally a love note. Like, and I think that's so cute. And so that is some of the prizes. Like I have like, I think 5 of these and a couple more. So I think that will be really fun. And then I have 2 other prizes so far that have been donated, and I'm so excited about them. Okay, so I'll show you this one because I'm so excited. It is a interchangeable set from Knit Picks Needles, and I'm so excited about this because this is actually, I would say, the exact same set that I have, but like the updated version. So I got this set when I was 24 and I'm 38 now. So that's, 14 years, and I still have it and I still use it. It's actually like, I literally still use it. I have wore out some tips and replaced them. That was just for me knitting a ton. I was same size. But really, like in general, it's been just incredible. And so this is, and I remember when I got this was such a like liberating gift because I was like knitting on straight needles or having to go buy circulars from like Michael's or something. And once I got this, I felt like I could knit more things. And like, thinking about laying a love note, you start like at a smaller needle, like cable, your cord, your cable, like is shorter for up by your neck, and then you get bigger around here and around your waist, and so you're switching. And so if you didn't have an interchangeable set, that might mean that you would need to buy separate fixed needles. And so it was just super liberating when I first had my very first interchangeable set. And I remember being so excited about it. And so that exact set was donated from Knit Picks, and that's one of the prizes, which is so exciting. And sorry for the crinkle. So yeah. And I think the one thing I like about Knit Picks needles and other laminate kind of wood needles is they're smooth. So they're like somewhere between like just a regular wooden needle, like a bamboo needle, and a metal needle. So like, and they have like sharp tips, but they're not like too sharp. I just really think they're such a great sweater knitting set of needles. Okay, and then the other prize for the knit along is that, oh, so Tin Can Knits is the designer of the pattern that we're using, the Love Note, and Tin Can Knits has donated an ebook to somebody. So basically, like there's one of their books is called Strange Brew that I have, and it's sort of like a recipe book for like sweaters, bottom up, top down, and it has a lot of color work in it. And it's really fun. Like they talk about like basically like swatching for your colorwork sweater by like knitting a hat or something like this. And so they have some charts in there for like specific colorwork sweaters, but also like talks like flexibility and things. So anyway, like that is one of the ebooks, or like any ebook of theirs that you would be interested in. And so those are so far the 3 prizes that I have. And if anybody like is a maker or knows a maker that would be interested in donating prizes, like I would love, love, love to share those like on the channel and with you. And so please feel free to email me at professorpearlpodcast@gmail.com. But so far, so good on the prizes. I'm just so excited that there's any prizes. Honestly, I was really kind of nervous about starting my first knit along and even like going on YouTube Live. So anyway, I'm just really grateful. And it's like so exciting that it says like 61 people are here. So this is thrilling. So let's see here. Oh yeah. So yeah, there is like, it says here, row 5, you have to move all the markers on the stitch to make the, yeah, so there is like a little thing that happens in row 5 where like if you're using stitch markers, you might have to like move them a little bit, but okay, so I think that's pretty much all I have tonight. Maybe I'll end with if anybody has any questions for me, maybe a couple minutes for that, or I'll just, I don't know, I'll take a glass of my wine here. Tell me what you're doing this weekend, or ask me a question before we hang up. But I don't know if it's like very realistic or not, but I'm hoping to finish Matilda's Love Note in like a week or 2. So that I have like the rest of the knit along really to knit my adult size sweater. So yeah, it sounds like some people are already starting the lace and stuff. And so that's like what I'm hoping to do this weekend is just like, I'm trying to decide if I basically want to just like, do I want to like do Matilda's and cast it on, get through the lace, and then do mine, cast on, get through the lace? Or do I want to kind of like wait and like get through Matilda's, and when I get like kind of bored in the stockinette part, maybe cast mine on? I think that's one of the fun things I love about sweater knitting is I love boring knitting, but I also love like interesting knitting. So if you're into like colorwork stuff or lace stuff, like sweater knitting is so exciting because it's like you can start off with some fun interest, color work or lace or whatever, and then you like have your boring like TV knitting on the bottom. I actually think this is why I end up having like multiple sweaters going on at the same time here. Oh, where do we join the knit along? Thank you. I needed that. That's actually something I wanted to talk about. Okay. So there's two ways you can participate in the knit along. One way, two ways for prizes, maybe three ways overall to participate. One way to overall participate where there's not prizes is on YouTube. I've been trying to kind of curate some videos called knit alongs. And so I've made a few videos for this knit along already. And I've even created a playlist on my YouTube channel. So if you go to Professor Pearl podcast, there's a playlist and this is knit alongs. And so try to curate some videos so that people can like go through those at their own pace or whatever and just feel like they're part of a knit along. But for prizes, I'm going to draw prizes from 3 places after December 1st. So December 1st, midnight. And I'll probably wait till like December 2nd. So like all the time zones are included. But I was going to draw from people who post on Instagram with the hashtag Love Note Knitalong. So in that sense, really it's participatory. Like it's like maybe you won't finish by December 1st, but as long as you're like posting and like using the hashtag Love Note Knitalong, like you'll be eligible for a prize. And I was thinking like one of the like kind of major prizes over there. So like either the needles or the book. And then, and if there's more prizes, like my thought, I could curate like bundles of prizes, but I was thinking it would be more fun to just like to give like as many prizes out to as many people as possible. So I was thinking currently I'm not going to bundle them. They're going to just be separate so that as many people can get a prize. And then in Ravelry, there is a Love Note Love like kind of chatter thread. And that is one place I will draw prizes. So that would also just be a participatory, as long as you're chatting in there, at basically all of your comments in there will be an entry for a prize. And then the other will be the finished object thread, which I haven't opened up yet. And I should, I'll do that by tomorrow. Hopefully nobody stays up all night tonight knitting. Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to, like, you know, you do you, stay up all night and knit a whole sweater. That would be incredible. And I wouldn't doubt that it would be possible for this. Like this sweater is probably the fastest I've ever knit a sweater in my life, just because it's a loose gauge. I also think I just really enjoy the way that mohair feels. Anyway, I'll quit rambling about that. But so I'll have finished object thread. And that will be no chatter and just like post your finished object in there. Oh, so I'm from New Zealand and have not done a knit along yet. Well, I'm really honored that you're here on YouTube considering this one as one of yours. Another person, Lizzie's never done a knit along or a cast on party. Thanks for hosting this. 3:30 p.m. turned out to be a great time for me in New Zealand. Yeah, I knew this would work out for like New Zealand and Australia time. Like theoretically, like people would be awake. If you're like in Europe right now, hopefully you're sleeping and not watching this video, unless you're up really early for some reason watching this. Yeah, so, okay, so funny. So, oh, I missed this, Anita, sorry. Just one question about gauge. I can't get less than 17 stitches. Will it block out? Okay. I don't know how to answer that. I'm going to try my best. Basically, when I'm saying that I get my gauge of 15, so this one I have 15 stitches and 4 inches, and this one I have 18 stitches and 4 inches. I have got both of these. I knit these and I soak them for a half hour in some wool wash and some, I probably don't need to do that, but I do that. I do wool wash and some water. I soaked them. I laid them out to dry and then I measured them. So in that sense, these have been blocked. So that's why I was like, I'm not really sure how to answer that. So in that, if you haven't blocked your swatch, it might block out. So like let me know, Anita, if you've blocked your swatch or not. So if you haven't blocked your swatch, and you got 17 stitches, and you used a superwash yarn, it is a little bit more stretchy. It potentially could block out to the 16. If you have already blocked it and laid out in 17, then I would say it's probably not going to block out. So I got 18 on this, and so I'm going to just go up a needle size. For me, that's incredible. Like basically I knit US size 7, the pattern calls for US size 10. And I normally go down, way down for needle sizes, but I think for this, I might need to do a US size 8, which is interesting because the yarn looks thinner than this, but it must not be. So let's see if there's any other questions. I think I've got the last 2 questions. So Lizzie says, I want to finish this before it gets too hot. Would be getting pretty hot up in Central. So yeah, so it's interesting timing. So basically, if you are like in the Northern Hemisphere, we're entering winter. So this is a great sweater to knit now because we're entering winter. But if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, like this is not necessarily like the best time to be knitting a mohair sweater because you're entering summer. But I actually have knit all 3 of my love notes over the summers. And one of my favorite things in the summer, even though I'm in total fall vibes right now, pumpkin spice latte mode, one of my very favorite things over the summer is to knit socks and woolly wool sweaters because you're like not wearing them and they stay really nice. And then when fall comes, because it will come, you have this stack of sweaters and socks that like are brand new and it feels like it just feels nice to kind of pile those up. But also I was thinking about like, wouldn't it be cool to knit a linen? Like if you're entering like summer season, wouldn't it be fun to knit like a short sleeve linen love note? I think that would be really cool. Susie says, finishing my first ranunculus now. The love note looks similar. Wondering if that's true. I agree. It's so funny. I have knit a ranunculus and I have knit a love note. And until I started my podcast and people were like mentioning ranunculus and kind of the same like sentences as love note, I had never thought about like that. Really, the ranunculus and the love note are really similar body styles where like love note has a lot of lace and ranunculus here has like really fun stitches, like some stitches I've never done before. But they both have this like yoke and they're both oversized and they both can be knit cropped and they both are really flexible. Like I've seen love notes short sleeve. I've seen them with like balloon sleeves, same thing with ranunculus. And I was, what was the name of, I don't remember the exact name of the podcast, but I think it's like Wild Cottage. Oh, I'm feeling terrible that I know it, but she lives in Ireland. It's like basically like Wild Cottage, like knitting in the slow life. Anyway, she's knit so many ranunculus or ranunculi. And like, I was like, oh my gosh, she's the Irish version of me. Like she's like knitting all these ranunculi and I'm like knitting all these love notes. And yeah, I feel like they're cousins. They're sweater cousins. Yeah, Lizzie says that's true. There's always the next autumn if we have a hot summer. Yeah, totally. All right. Well, this has been a blast for me. I cannot tell you how exciting it was, like, for you to show up and comment tonight. Like, honestly, like, just made my night. And even though I had a little tech issues and like I had some tech issues and I started a little late, you hung in there and I honestly was like a little worried I'd show up tonight and like be here all by myself, just like chatting, which I mean, I can do. It's essentially what we do on a podcast, I guess. But it was so fun to have the comments and to see you. And I'm just, seriously, I just feel like I don't know. I'm just rambling to say thank you because it's just really special. So, yeah. Oh, Barbara says, thanks for hosting this cast on party. Honestly, this is a blast. I feel like I want to have another knit along already. And then this just started and I want to have another cast on party. Maybe what I'll do is do another live, like on November 1st, like a check-in party or something. It sounds less party-ish, a check-in party, but yeah, maybe I'll have a check-in party. So, all right. Thanks. I'm having a hard time saying goodbye because this has been so fun. So thank you so much. Oh, just in case you're wondering, what will happen is I believe once I end this stream, it eventually will just save onto my channel. So I doubt you'll watch this again. But of course, like I think if you didn't make it to the live, I'm also thankful for you sticking here to the end. So bye. Happy knitting. Happy weekend.